This week, a tragic, deadly stabbing on Staten Island.
Total mayhem. Total mayhem.
And a firearm threat puts a Manhattan high school on lockdown.
To have this happen here, it can happen anywhere now.
Right now, Fox 5's Crime in the City. Here are the crimes across the 5 boroughs. We begin this week on Staten Island, where a 13-year-old boy is fatally stabbed in broad daylight.
Blood-soaked clothes and a water bottle lay next to the S-78 bus tonight on Staten Island. A chilling reminder of what unfolded on board hours earlier.
Total mayhem. Total mayhem.
Police say this was all gang-related just before 2:30 this afternoon along Highland Boulevard in the Eltingville section when a confrontation began between a 13-year-old boy and a 14-year-old boy. According to police, witnesses saw the 14-year-old pull out a knife and flash gang signs to each other. Then the 14-year-old attacks.
We have a male stabbed in the chest. Our perpetrator flees this bus, runs approximately 3 blocks.
Cops say the victim made it to the front of the bus before collapsing. A retired NYPD sergeant leaps into action and follows the suspect after a witness claims, quote, "This person just stabbed somebody."
I saw the kid come off the bus, the injured party come off the bus. He was taken right away. They huddled around him, took him right away. And then I watched all the cops shut everything down, on Highland Boulevard and Littlefield. They had it all shut down.
The sergeant catches up to him and makes an arrest. Witnesses say they saw the suspect throw the knife down a nearby sewer drain.
The chief had them starting to do a grid search for the weapon.
The 13-year-old was rushed to Staten Island University Hospital but could not be saved. A tragic day for the victim and his family and for the people on board who just wanted to make it home for the weekend. Police say that 14-year-old is being held and questioned tonight, but that others may be involved. The MTA, meanwhile, says that there are cameras on that bus and that they, quote, have a good account of just what happened on board.
Moving to Manhattan, panic at a West Side high school after guns are found on campus.
A Manhattan high school placed on lockdown after sources tell Fox 5 there was an armed student on campus.
All right, Fox 5's Teresa Priolo joins us live from the scene on the West Side. And Teresa, thankfully, no one was hurt.
Thankfully, Steve and Natasha, it certainly has been an emotional afternoon here in Hell's Kitchen, and for some, it's not over yet. Let me just explain the setup. There are 2 schools here. One is Independence High School, that's behind me, and around the block is Environmental. A 911 call came in this afternoon for a student with a weapon, and it locked down both schools. We can tell you, because we were on scene when it happened, that this threat was mitigated around 3:30 when police escorted the student out of the building. One of the students, we don't know his name or how he is involved in this. A short time later, another teen was escorted out and put in the back of a squad car. A woman on the sidewalk was seen screaming his name. We have been told by a source that 2 guns were found at dismissal. Now, what we do know is that the 911 call came in for a Hispanic male who was showing off a weapon in school. I spoke to a student on FaceTime as she was locked down. She said the teen was showing off that weapon in the bathroom. She said she was scared. She was being told, but with her classmates, to lock the door and stay quiet. She was calling her mom so her mom would have some idea of what was happening, because they say that the Department of Education was being very tight-lipped and not telling parents what was going on. Take a listen.
I was panicking and freaking out. I was quiet for a while. That means, I just don't want to think about anything else, and I was scared, someone's gonna come in here with a gun. I was pretty nervous.
I worry. I have 3 kids, and one just graduated from MLK, which is another tough school. And as a New Yorker, I was born and raised here. It's really hard to have kids raised here. We see a lot of violence in the Bronx, but to have this happen here, it can happen anywhere now, and it's hard as a mom.
Heading downtown, the suspects in the deadly Bronx daycare tragedy head to court.
Now to arraignment day for the suspects charged in the deadly fentanyl poisoning of a 1-year-old boy at a Bronx daycare.
Fox 5's Teresa Priolo joins us live from Lower Manhattan. And Teresa, what happened in court today?
Yes, Stephen, Natasha, for a case as tragic as this one, I can tell you that today's federal court proceedings were fairly routine. The 4 defendants that are connected to that Bronx daycare where little 1-year-old Nicholas Dominici died entered not guilty pleas to federal charges. That includes Gray Mendez. She is the owner of the Divino Nino daycare. Her husband, Felix Herrera Garcia, who was recently captured in Mexico. His cousin, Carlisto Brito, and Renny Para Paredes. These 4 are accused of conspiring to distribute fentanyl. They allegedly used the Bronx daycare as their place of operations and a storage facility. A few things that you should note: these cases will head to trial in early June. The U.S. Attorney's Office said it recovered a significant amount of surveillance footage and lab testing and 9 electronic devices, all of which show the communication in Spanish. So it is going to take some time for them to work through everything. And because there are so many different agencies that have been involved in this case, and the death of little Nicholas has been so shocking, there has been such intense interest. It's for that reason that the judge granted a request to prohibit any out-of-court statements, including by the NYPD officers that are involved or even state police that are working this case. There is concern that the slow drip of news would taint a jury pool. Now, back out here live, if they are convicted on the federal crimes, they face a minimum of 20 years behind bars. That is to say nothing of the state's case, in which if they are convicted of those crimes, Steve and Natasha, they face a maximum of life behind bars.
On the Upper West Side, we meet one of the victims in the surge of money scams targeting city seniors.
More crimes against seniors here in the city, particularly financial scams.
Linda Schmidt sat down with a victim who says she was duped into turning over her personal information.
She was very nice, and, you know, it just went very nicely.
But the nice woman who 89-year-old Janet Gonzalez Gasper was talking to on the phone was not nice. She was a scammer and claiming to be from Amazon.
She said, well, these are 3 charges.
Before she knew it, Janet was giving the caller her personal and financial information, including her Social Security number.
I told her my birthday, and I gave her the 1 credit card that I use.
The number of scams targeting seniors appears to be on the rise. Kateri Gasper is Janet's daughter. She also happens to be retired from the Queens District Attorney's Office, where she worked as an assistant DA for more than 30 years. Kateri also volunteers with Gray Panthers NYC, an organization that fights on behalf of senior citizens. She says there was an increase in scams during the pandemic.
Because people were home in particular, that the scams definitely, rose during that time, but it hasn't slackened off since then.
Not only are the number of scams targeting seniors increasing, so are assaults. So far this year, the NYPD says felony assaults on the elderly are up compared to the same time period last year. Grand larcenies, which include financial scams, climbed to more than 3,700 compared to about 3,500 last year. And some seniors are losing their life savings.
The total loss nationwide is at $3.1 billion.
Attorney Mike Sakari says that was just last year alone. He is with the Jewish Association Serving the Aging, a nonprofit. He says many senior citizens who get scammed are embarrassed to call police.
Close to half of the times a scam takes place, it goes unreported.
And as Janet can tell you, the scammers are well trained.
She was very good. That's why she was doing it.
Just blocks away, a young man is slashed in the head with a box cutter on the subway.
Police are searching for a suspect wanted in a box cutter attack on the Upper West Side. Investigators say the suspect approached the 22-year-old victim on a northbound A train at the 72nd Street station last Tuesday morning. There was a verbal dispute. That's when police say that suspect slashed the victim in the head with the box cutter before taking off. The victim sustained minor injuries and was treated by EMS. But if you recognize this person in the bucket hat, call Crime Stoppers. That number, 800-577-TIPS.
And finally, leaving the city, Lisa Evers takes a closer look at the stunning arrest and the murder of Tupac Shakur.
The complex human being and artist Tupac Shakur has captivated the minds of millions of people for nearly 30 years. His murder has been one of hip-hop's most compelling unsolved mysteries. Now that there's finally been an arrest, will it bring closure or just more questions? Tupac Shakur was just 25 when he was gunned down on the Las Vegas Strip on September 7, 1996. In the absence of any arrests for 27 years, there was rampant, wild speculation.
There have been a lot of conspiracy theories that have, sort of flourished in the absence of real information. As a result, people have stepped into the void and come up with all these other scenarios and theories about what happened and why it happened.
On September 29, 2023, Las Vegas law enforcement officials announced the arrest of 60-year-old Crip gang leader Dwayne Keefe D. Davis on a murder charge. For years, Keefe D. had been publicly bragging about his involvement on social media, blogs, and even in his own book, Compton Street Legend.
He seemed to think that he had some type of immunity, but that was not the case, and so he essentially talked himself right into jail. But I think Las Vegas Police Department was just allowing him to continue to go out there and essentially hang himself with all of these confessions.
Suspect Dwayne Keefe D. Davis is the only man still alive who was in the car used in the deadly drive-by shooting. But there's still room for more mysteries and revelations, says criminal defense attorney Charles Tucker Jr.
There'll be some more stones uncovered, some more, statements, maybe even a possible witness or two, to what extent they have anything credible. But I think there are a couple of bombshells that remain to be uncovered in this matter.
In addition to the fascination with Tupac's death, the interest in his music legacy continues to grow across generations, with fans feeling a very personal connection to him.
He was that person that made me understand what passion is in hip hop and caring about your lyrics.
And that's this week's Crime in the City. Subscribe for more at youtube.com/Fox5NY.